it's going by quick. The season's flying
For
by.
some teams, that's a good thing. Most teams, actually, this year, it's a good thing.
But
the season's going by quickly.
we got to start off with your New York Giants.
My 3-win team.
3 wins in a row. Now the New York Giants, with their victory, their 24-20 victory over the Oakland Raiders, become the first NFC East team to win 3 consecutive games this season. I don't know what to really think. Yeah, I'm not too sure what I think about that. I mean,
they still look pretty sloppy, but they look a lot better.
They still look sloppy.
Special teams terrible.
Oh, special teams has probably been the worst thing that the Giants had exactly all season.
Terrible.
But the return of Andre Brown at running back definitely was a spark for the Giants this week. He
rushed for 121 yards.
115. Career high, 2 yards higher than his career high, which he set last season.
At Carolina, I think.
But now also, in his first game back after IR, after being on short-term IR, he wasn't really expected to see that much time, considering it was his first time back, but he was able to really run hard, and I think he got about 30 carries yesterday, so he was a workhorse in his first game back.
Right, going into the game, I didn't really think he was going to get that many carries, but he actually gave the Giants much-needed running game, which they really haven't had all year. And it made this offensive line look a lot better than they did when they had David Wilson running for them.
And here's a position at running back where the Giants really haven't solidified who their number one guy has been. Due to injuries, you had David Wilson going in there early. He has his fumble problems, then his injury.
His injury, which is career threatening, but they say he's going to continue to play.
Yeah, despite the reports of it being career threatening, he will attempt to continue his career. Then also you have Brandon Jacobs. You bring him back. And, I'm not saying anything bad about Brandon. I can't really say much. He didn't play yesterday.
Right,
so
he hasn't been playing, so I can't say anything positive about him either.
Well, better off that he stays on the sideline anyway.
I guess so. Andre Brown, he's
exactly.
Staying on the sideline. Andre Brown's doing work, so.
So exactly. You had Jacobs out, in and out. You bring in Peyton Hillis. He's mediocre to say.
I don't really like him.
But Andre Brown, he's a kid who could definitely take over the number 1 role for the Giants as the season progresses, as long as he could stay healthy.
To be honest, I don't see him as an every down back. I see him as one of those guys that, like the Ahmad Bradshaw, Brandon Jacobs type platoon back.
I think they need to find a complement, though. They don't have that right now.
To be honest, Ahmad Bradshaw looks to be a better runner than David Wilson. Although David Wilson has more explosiveness than Ahmad Bradshaw ever had, he just doesn't seem to have that type of, I can't really describe it. Ahmad Bradshaw, when he fought for yards, he really grinded it out. Where David Wilson, he's just not the same. Like, he doesn't fight for those extra yards. He gets hit easily, goes down easily.
I really can't say anything positive about David Wilson.
I can't.
Considering he can't even hold on to the ball. So until he learns how to do that, then maybe we could start talking about David Wilson.
He's just had some bad,
But
that's really the biggest downfall of him is the fumbling.
Absolutely, and that's in the NFL. That's huge. If you can't hold on to the ball, you're not going to see the field.
Yeah, you're not going to play.
But also in that Giants game, Eli Manning. I'm still not convinced with the way he's playing. He only threw for 140 yards. Did throw a touchdown, also an interception.
It's a pick.
Yeah, but his play of late. I know it's been a rough season. A lot of ups and downs, mostly downs, but. He still hasn't played to his potential.
Well, his potential, I think, has been reached already, to be honest. I mean, he is 31 years old. I don't know if he has any more potential than he's already
But I'm
reached.
saying on an...
You mean to his capability?
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Like,
yeah,
what he's capable of doing.
He's
what he's capable of doing is winning a Super Bowl. That's what he's capable of doing.
Well, all right, let's not go in the past again. Every time we need to speak
he's a
about
Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean,
because of his defense and...
his defense.
His
Michael Strahan threw that pass to David Tyree.
Yeah, because David Tyree made that catch. Like,
he did?
Yeah, he made that
catch. He got the catch.
Oh,
he made
please.
The catch.
He throws that pass 100 more times.
Of course not, but then if he throws it a second time, Rodney Howard...
I don't want to hear it.
All right, you don't want to hear it.
But to his capability, I think Eli he could throw for 250, 275. He should be throwing for that.
250, 275.
That's nothing.
350.
That's nothing.
No, 250, 275 is nothing.
So I'm saying he should be around that level if you're saying he's out of his...
Right. His prime.
His prime. If he's out of his prime, then
He's not out of his prime. He's on the latter end of his prime. I mean, he's a good NFL quarterback.
Nonetheless, I know the offensive line is not great, but
Right.
still, he needs to produce more to help the Giants continue to win.
And
At this point in the
as far as
season.
the offensive line, I think Pugh is good. Justin Pugh.
Yeah, the rookie.
He's improving. He looks like he's improving. And earlier in the year he was pretty bad, but he's improving right now. And also they're missing Snee, who's an All-Pro, and they're missing Boss, who is a big force in that offensive line. So I mean, they are injured, but David Deal's over the hill. Will Beatty to me is very overrated, and Kevin Booth is just average.
But
But again, I'm not gonna going into the past again. This group has been working together for a while, and they have had their success. But this year is just they're showing their age.
it's time for Eli though to play at the level that he's capable of playing with.
Right.
In order
He has weapons.
In order to take the Giants, I'm not saying on a playoff run, but
They're
to
not gonna go on a
to continue to continue to
be
play as
successful.
of late
Oh yeah, to be successful, to win.
to win,
And I
which they've
think-
been doing.
I think no knock on your Packers next week, but I think they have a good shot at winning next week.
I hate to admit it, but you might be right.
The only reason why they have a good shot at winning next week is because if this was 3 weeks ago, before, even if Cobb was hurt, before all these injuries happened to the Packers, I think the Packers would have beaten the Giants. But right now,
Yeah, we'll get into the Packers
all right.
a little later, but also it's going to be a lot closer than it should be next week. I'll leave it at that.
Right, it'll be closer. I think the Giants might come away, surprise the Packers.
I mean, here's the thing that their biggest improvement from the beginning of the year, from their first
I think their
6
defense,
games,
their secondary.
their defense in general. The first 6 games of the season, the Giants were giving up an average of 34.8 points per game.
Yes.
391.3 yards per game, and only had 5 sacks. In the last 2 weeks, their defense is averaging 7 points per game, giving up 7 points per game.
Right.
Only 203 yards and
Terrific.
and 5 sacks.
Terrific.
It's
Well, 5 sacks is still kind of low for the Giants.
but in
history.
but in 2 weeks compared to their first 6 weeks,
Right.
it's a huge improvement.
Big difference. Big improvement.
Big difference, which if they could continue to play at that level, you have a struggling Green Bay coming into town on Sunday. Not sky's the limit, but they could still make a run because
They can.
of what the NFC East is looking
Possible.
like.
I mean, Cowboys, you don't know what you're going to get with Dallas. The Eagles have a good offense. Nick Foles seems to be legit, but their defense is terrible. Redskins don't look good at all. And the Giants really, I mean, the only positive thing that I have to say about them is their defense. So this is a toss-up to me. This whole division's a toss-up.
I count the Redskins out.
I think
Redskins are out.
besides the Redskins out, if the Giants can win next week and go to 4-6, and Dallas and Philadelphia loses, it's a toss-up. I really don't know.
Now,
It all depends on matchups and scheduling.
yeah, I'm not too sure who.
I know the Giants are playing the Seahawks and the Saints. I think they're playing. I know that
No, the Giants will play the.
week 15 the Giants playing the Seahawks. I'm pretty positive.
They will play the Seahawks. They don't play the Saints.
No,
they
they
won't
don't
have
play
to
the
worry
Saints.
about that. Who the Saints demolished the NFC East Dallas Cowboys
Right.
on Sunday night.
That's another. I cannot stand the Dallas Cowboys, but I am a Des Bryant fan. As for being a Giant fan, I am a Des Bryant fan, and I think it's a disgrace how he's involved in the offense. A disgrace
in what sense?
that he doesn't get the ball.
It's tough.
It's ridiculous.
You know,
Do you know how
I've-
ridiculous
I've
it is?
also noticed a lot
He was
that
targeted like once. It was ridiculous.
I also noticed that Jason Witten's production has declined so much, and I know he's getting older, but that used to be Romo's go-to guy. So that was another
Romo
shocker.
attempted 12 passes at halftime.
Well, they got run out of that building. That's for sure.
It was a disgrace looking at that passing game, and he targets Terrence. When he wants a big play, you would think, in my opinion, he would throw to Des Bryant, but he throws to Terrence Williams. No disrespect to Terrence Williams, he's a pretty good wide receiver. But when you have a guy like Des Bryant in your team, who was in the conversation between who's better, Calvin or Des, I mean, you gotta throw him the ball as much as possible. I would kill for Des Bryant.
I
on
think
the
the
Giants.
problem there is that teams are starting to realize how great and of
He
a
is.
wide receiver Des Bryant
He was being covered heavily by Rob Ryan's defense.
I mean, I think teams have noticed that and have now put more attention on Des Bryant. And yes, you could say Calvin Johnson gets doubled and all this and that, but Calvin Johnson can still make the plays.
He's
and
a little bit bigger than
and
this
that-
too, Calvin.
that-
That's another thing.
and that's what makes him better than him.
Oh yeah, he's definitely better.
But luckily for the Cowboys, who got demolished, they're on a bye, so they won't be in action next week.
That's why more of a reason why the New York Football Giants need to win.
And for you Giants fans out there, you'll be pulling for the Redskins to get a win too, because they'll be playing the Philadelphia Eagles next week. So,
Well, I mean, I don't know if you'll be pulling for them, but I mean,
you don't want the Redskins to start getting involved in it either, but you don't want Philly to continue to win.
I would rather have the Redskins win than the Eagles win, because to be honest, I feel like the Eagles are a better team than the Redskins.
Well, odds are that the Redskins may pull this one off just because the Eagles are playing at home and they have yet to win a home game.
They have one home game.
It's
which is-
unbelievable.
Which is terrible.
It's ridiculous. How do you go 0-4 in your own home, yet you're 5-1 on the road?
It doesn't make any sense.
If I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, I might as well just battle to try to get a wild card position and just play every game on the road.
I don't know about that, but
You might as well. You're playing better on the road than in your own home.
I don't understand that though. I mean, what's wrong? Philly
I guess
fans are hard.
They got terrible fans out there. I
Oh,
guess.
they do. They're awful.
I guess they have terrible
They are
fans.
awful. Awful. But
So those are the matchups for the NFC East. So where do the Giants stand? Do they make a run? Are you a little bit more convinced after winning 3 games in a row?
again, I still think they're gonna end up either 6-10 or 7-9, and I think they miss the playoffs.
I think they miss the playoffs. They continue to battle.
They battle, they fight. They're not gonna get, like I said in the beginning of the year, they're gonna be a top 5 draft pick and draft Jadeveon Clowney. I don't see that happening again.
I see him being anywhere between like the 15th and 17th pick in the
That's
draft.
kind of hot.
That's right in the
low,
middle.
low.
That's right in the middle.
I still think if they end up 7-9, then yeah, it's 15, 14, something like that.
They're right. Yeah, they're right in the middle.
But
so
if they're 6 I still think they might be 6-10.
the only reason why I think that they won't be able to get in,
Mhm.
I mean, they got to win the division to get in. That's the first thing. Because I don't think you're going to have a wild card team coming out of the NFC East.
Right.
Just because of how competitive. The NFC West, you have San Fran and Seattle, who are both playing well.
San Fran's
San
not that
Fran's not playing as
And
well.
what did I last week?
Well, we'll get into that later. Hold your horses over there.
I'm so happy for the Carolina Panthers.
And then you also have the NFC North
Right.
that has 3 teams up there who are battling for the division, and one of them is gonna whoever doesn't get it is gonna get the wild card.
Mm-hmm.
And if Carolina continues to play, they're in the wild card battle, so it's gonna be tough. I really only see they're not being it's not as open as the AFC.
AFC is more wide open. The
Yeah.
NFC this year has been very weak.
Exactly. It's going to be a
Very
lot.
weak. And
You're
just a
not
lot
gonna,
of bad teams
You're
battling
not
each
going to
other.
get a team that's at 500 to get that second wild card in the NFC. In the AFC, I could see it happening.
In the NFC, right. So the division leaders right now in the West, it's the Seahawks, the Cowboys in the East, and the what's the other one?
Detroit.
Yeah, that's a toss-up too, Detroit a little bit.
Yeah, but the thing is over there is that even whoever doesn't win the division is still going to be over 500
Right.
by maybe two games at least.
Yeah. Well,
So that's why I'm saying it's not as open as in the AFC. So
I don't really have a confidence in a lot of these teams going into the playoffs. I mean, looking at all these teams around the NFL, it's a weird. Like I've said this from week 3 maybe, that this year in the NFL has just been very, very weird and unorthodox and very uncommon. The way all these injuries have been going on, lack of a running game from any team, the standings, a lot of bad teams.
bottom line, the Giants do not make the playoffs.
I agree.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back, talk maybe a little bit about Geno and the Jets despite them being on a bye, and get around the rest of the NFL.